to Eye on America. I'm Michelle Miller. Today's episode runs the gamut of emotions found within our nation's communities. From life and death, where we ride along with officials in Maine on a mission to address the opioid epidemic, to the lighthearted, where we sit down with comedian Sebastian Maniscalco and a pediatrician offering parental advice and laughs. We begin first in Kentucky, a state still reeling months later from flooding that left millions of dollars in damage and lives lost. Our Manuel Bajorquez got a first-hand look at this community's road to recovery.
Got it? Yeah.
The signs of lives upended are everywhere here. Third-generation coal miner Roger Hatton is still sifting through debris and memories.
What do you want people to know about what's happening here?
We have got a porch to sit on. Some people don't got a porch to sit on. They don't have, some people are living in tents.
This is one of the most enduring images of the Kentucky floods. 17-year-old Chloe Adams clinging to her dog Sandy on a neighbor's rooftop for 5 hours.
I didn't know how to deal with that situation. I didn't know what was going to happen, and I really did think I was not going to make it out alive.
Her cousin rescued them on a kayak, but to this day, Chloe has not returned to her hometown, Whitesburg.
I don't think I would ever be able to comfortably sleep there again.
This nonprofit kitchen is providing the displaced an average of 1,200 meals a day. 5 of the school district's 8 campuses were damaged, delaying the start of the school year. The state has been rolling out some temporary homes.
I believe that people should pull themselves up by their bootstraps, but our bootstraps have washed down the creek.
State Representative Angie Hatton, who lives in Whitesburg, says the problem for many now is navigating the process of securing aid from FEMA.
It takes some sort of Olympic athlete to jump through the hoops. So I keep calling on our representatives in Congress and the U.S. Senate to please do something about FEMA.
Overall, FEMA has doled out more than $70 million here.
Wow, down to the studs.
But victims like single mother of 2, Vanessa Rouse, are still stuck in limbo.
This was the kitchen.
She says her flood insurance and homeowners insurance are at odds over who should cover this. So for now, Rouse is paying a mortgage on a house she can't live in.
I used to come almost every day, but I don't come that often anymore.
Why is that?
Because it's so sad, because every day it's more and more apparent of the loss.
The loss and the long road ahead.
We head now to Pennsylvania, where even apple farmers are having a difficulty adapting to supply chain issues. Scott McFarland visits an orchard where an apple a day is getting more expensive.
Baron Shaw runs a family farm and apple orchard in York County, Pennsylvania. They got its start in 1841. So it's striking to hear Shaw say he's facing challenges this year unlike any year before.
How stressful is that for you to try to get through your business and through the week?
Inflation makes it very stressful. I mean, the fuel prices, the energy costs, all of it is going up.
Inflation is squeezing industries of all sorts, but for this delicate industry, which produces this delicate fruit, they're seeing a perfect storm down the supply chain that's hitting growers hard.
You don't go into this business unless you've got a lot of faith in God, a lot of faith in the family members around you, and that's what keeps me going.
Unlike so many other items in the produce aisle that benefit from automated farming practices, apples are picked by hand and require intensive, specialized labor to harvest. Shaw says they can't find domestic workers for this intensely physical job. The industry relies heavily on international migrant laborers using H-2A visas. Their wages are set by the federal government and vary state by state.
Every year that price goes up, and we don't have a whole lot of say in that. So we just have to pay what the government tells us it needs.
That's out of your control.
Completely out of our control.
Shaw saw the wage for H-2A workers increase 10% from last year, up to $15.78 an hour. And across the country, H-2A wages have been going up 5 to 10% every year. The U.S. Apple Industry Association estimates total labor costs have spiked 30% this year.
How do you plan 1 year, 5 year, 10 years in the future? It's a very challenging issue right now.
Apples on average cost 6% more this year, but that's not all because of labor. In fact, most farmers aren't seeing more money in their pockets. So it's inflation that's causing some of the industry's biggest customers to see the most dramatic effects.
About 1,500 to 2,000 apples a day to serve our kids.
You need 2,000 apples a day.
A day to meet our needs.
In Montgomery County, Maryland, this is the first year ever public schools won't be able to serve a fresh, seasonal apple for lunch. Local apples this fall cost them 3 times as much. They'll have to stick with cheaper, pre-packaged slices instead. Less apple for each child.
How important is an apple to a kid?
Apples are our #1 fresh fruit that our kids love. Whether it's a whole apple or apple slices, #1 choice, and that's pre-K to 12th grade.
For farmers like Baron Shaw to weather this economic storm, they're trying to lure you to buy at the apple orchard itself this fall to cut out the middlemen. They can offer a lower price and land a bigger profit if you pick it off the trees than off a grocery store shelf.
I have 1, 2, 3, 4.
And for your local apple orchard, that could be the tipping point.
Some orchards somewhere in America, they can't sell directly to people on their farm. They're going to go out of business.
It's very, very possible, yes. These businesses really are not sustainable unless they're profitable, because there's no reason for the next generation to do this if they can't make a living and can't make a retirement doing it.
Coming up, we head to Maine, a place hit particularly hard by the nationwide opioid epidemic. This is Eye on America. Welcome back. The ever-growing opioid crisis is a complicated issue that requires nuanced solutions. Jeff Bloor traveled to Maine, where the problem is especially acute, to speak with a wide variety of people affected by the issue.
Cedar Street, Oxford Street, CPD on scene for a subject that is overdosed, 2 doses of Narcan with no pulse.
On a Tuesday afternoon, police in Portland, Maine respond to an opiate overdose and administer Narcan, what has become the go-to on-site treatment.
How bad is it in Portland right now?
In Portland right now, we are currently 90% above where we were this time last year.
Double?
Yes.
Where you were just a year ago?
Correct.
Why?
Access.
Heath Gorham is Portland's interim police chief.
When I started 22 years ago, we very rarely saw heroin. We never saw fentanyl. It was all crack. And over the years, pills became very prevalent, and then we saw the resurgence of the opioids, the street drugs like heroin, and then in the last couple of years, we've seen fentanyl move in.
Fentanyl is not new.
Show me 1061 on that, please.
But on the streets, it has reached new levels for many departments already overwhelmed.
So you have a warrant, you have 4 warrants for your arrest?
Just 4 misdemeanor warrants, bud. They're not a big deal.
Just clear them out.
Jesse Dana used to work in corporate and retail sales for a clothing company. He's been a cop for 10 years.
Do you have anything on you that's going to get you jammed up at county? Because that is a felony if you've got any drugs on you, dude.
A cop who, like many others, is now expected to play multiple roles.
All right, buddy. Well, if you need something throughout the day, let me know. Just stay in the shade and kind of chill out, all right?
Are you their friend? Are you the police officer? What are you?
Ultimately my job is to be a police officer and to enforce the law. But, everybody down here, is a person just like, the people that I've worked with in my previous career, right? So you have to treat everybody with respect. Okay, have you checked in with your doctor?
Most of the folks that are dealing with being unhoused are also dealing with a substance use disorder and behavioral health disorders. So those co-occurring disorders and a lack of treatment beds, a lack of inpatient treatment is leaving them out there on the street, and fentanyl is so incredibly easy to get.
What help do you need from the federal government?
We need facilities for inpatient treatment.
Inpatient treatments for drug addiction lacking on the outside are now being pioneered on the inside. We went into the Maine State Prison, a maximum security facility for those who've done the worst of the worst, often under the influence of drugs or alcohol. Like Earl Buddy Beeler, who's serving a sentence for murdering one person and nearly another in 2009. At first, even losing his freedom wasn't enough to make him change his ways.
You were using for a long time when you came to prison.
Yeah, pretty much the whole time.
The whole time? Until when?
So I got some drugs that I ingested that came out of someone's mouth, and it almost killed me, put me in sepsis, had to go out on the ambulance.
You injected someone's saliva?
Well, the Suboxone strip came out of their mouth, so it had some of their saliva on it, yes.
That's how desperate you were for it?
Yeah.
After recovering from a near-fatal infection, Beeler eventually got into a new prison treatment program, under which he's given Suboxone, a drug that treats dependence on narcotics. 42% of people incarcerated here are now being treated with Suboxone, a strategy embraced by the Commissioner of Maine State Prisons.
If we recognize that addiction is a disease, we should treat it that way.
Randy Liberty grew up surrounded by a life of crime. One of his first jobs when he entered law enforcement was to guard his own father.
Unfortunately, dysfunctionally, it was comfortable. I go into Charlie Block upstairs in the jail. Morning, Dad. Morning, Randy. And it's some of the best time I ever spent with him.
Liberty has one main mission here, to normalize corrections.
Let me take a look at it, okay? Thank you. Nice to meet you. Any of the states can adopt what we're doing here, and it really just means reducing the stigma of being incarcerated, stopping the shame.
Part of that means making a prison not look like one.
We're aggressive with our agriculture. Not only...
It smells nice.
Yeah.
For example, the abundant gardens and even pickling classes.
I think we did maybe 3,000 tomato plants and pepper plants this year. And not only does it help them therapeutically to raise that and feel good about that, but it also gives them an opportunity to enhance nutrition. Our job is to help the residents identify what brought them here and then get to work treating those particular situations.
A couple of years ago, you stopped referring to the people here, the men here, as prisoners or inmates. You call them residents.
That's right. We believe language matters, and we believe that dignity and respect is deserved by all, and so that's why we call the individuals that are incarcerated here residents.
Even murderers.
Even murderers. We believe in redemption.
Maine State Prison says their treatment program has reduced overdose deaths in residents after their release by 60%.
Thank you. When the taxpayers of the state of Maine spend $46,000 a year to house a resident here, I think they demand that we get results.
It's a crazy number, $46,000.
$46,000 a year. And the ones that are here need to be here. That's how we provide public safety. They need to reset, they need to pause and reflect and understand what brought them to corrections, and then we need to get to work to assist them in transitioning back into the community.
Anybody in the tent? It's Portland PD.
A community that doesn't have to look far to see the evidence of America's ongoing struggle with addiction.
I could say that you could probably have somebody spend their entire day walking around just picking up needles, and they could probably fill about 4 to 5 hours of their day.
And the work that still needs to be done to make help available without having to go to prison to get it.
We're all part of the community that's around here. So whether you're unhoused, whether you live in a home, like these folks do here, whether you have a business or whether you're a tourist, you all have to kind of do your part.
What do you think the solution is for this, or is this just maintenance right now?
Right now we're in a maintenance phase. I think a lot of that has to do with the fact that there's not enough full treatment centers for people that really need help.
We now head to the city of brotherly love, where kids are falling in love with the sport of polo. Anne-Marie Green introduces us to a unique program rewarding hard work with life lessons.
Keep your eye on the ball! It's everything you expect from polo in an unexpected place.
Give them some love, Philadelphia!
North Philadelphia.
It was an opportunity to learn more about polo.
This was super dynamic. It was awesome.
We're out here, we're saying, oh, it's lit.
The Philadelphia Polo Classic is a dream come true for champion Kareem Rosser. He learned the sport for free through a local program called Work to Ride, which took him from rough neighborhoods to ritzy polo grounds.
I've participated in so many polo events around the world. I'm like, it's finally time to bring something to our own neighborhood.
He brought friends too, like Nacho Figueres, dubbed the David Beckham of polo.
Nacho, forget it. Shot on goal, Nacho.
And Shariah Harris, a Work to Ride alum and former polo captain at Cornell University, along with her mom.
Can Philly be a polo town?
Oh, most definitely. We do it Philly style.
In your dreams, when people think of Philly and sport, will they think of the Eagles and the Phillies and the Flyers and polo?
Oh, absolutely.
Polo, an old sport with a new audience in the city of brotherly love.
After the break, superstar comedian Sebastian Maniscalco takes on the peaks and valleys of parenting. This is Eye on America. Last but not least, chances are, if you're a parent anywhere across our great nation, at some point, you've struggled with temper tantrums and timeouts. Comedian Sebastian Maniscalco teamed up with pediatrician Dr. Scott Cohen to share some parenting lore and plenty of laughs.
My name is Sebastian Maniscalco. I'm sitting here with Dr. Scott Cohen, who is our pediatrician. Now, we are joined by a beautiful couple here, Gondo and Malika, and they have a kid, 13 months old, Arev, who's dealing with temper tantrums. Now, we're gonna see what's going on in their world. Take a look at this clip.
He is full of energy.
What else did you do?
When he's happy, he's excited, he is bouncing around everywhere.
He's amazing and he smiles. Brings me almost to tears because it's just awesome. It's such a great feeling.
Well, the tantrums really make me feel helpless in a way. What's wrong with him? Am I doing something wrong? Am I missing something?
His tantrums are passionate. If something is not going right, he will let you know. He's very, very emotional when it comes to that. He'll throw things.
You might feel mom guilt, you know, like why can I not figure this out?
He knows what he wants, and so he's driven. That's what I love about him. I didn't grow up with a father, so it's been hard because I just don't know what I'm doing sometimes. I want to do it right.
Wow, now watching that video, for me, brought back memories. Should they be worried? Is this normal behavior?
I mean, first of all, which side of the family does this behavior take after?
There's days where maybe both.
Yeah.
This is so common. It happened with your two, it happened with my two girls, and there's not one size fits all when it comes to parenting.
Like, what did you do when Caruso was flipping out on the floor?
I called my wife. What I would do is I would change the environment that the kid was in. So if he was in the living room, I'd pick him up, I'd bring him to the garage or whatever.
Change the environment. So yeah, I got you. Distraction works really well. It works well for Sebastian's behavior. Sometimes something simple, knocking on a door, clapping your hands, waving. You gotta try different things at different times.
I saw the headbanging, and my son was doing that for a little bit. Is that something where you put like a pillow between the wall and the head? Because once I saw that, I'm like, that's it. You know, I always look at it as a major issue, whatever they have. Like you just said, my kid's the only one doing this. Something's wrong. Our DNA is screwed up.
You know, that behavior is attention-seeking behavior. So, like you said, you want to make sure he's in a safe place, right? He's not on a cement floor. You want to move him over to carpet or something. But in reality, if he's headbanging, you can let it be. He really won't hurt himself.
And now you just have the ability to ignore this? What do you do in your head to just kind of forget about it?
I mean, either I'll just tune it out or I put the TV on, watch something, and then she'll be like, he's been crying this whole time. And I'm like, oh, I don't know what to do. So I just kind of go to the other room sometimes and look at the baby monitor and like hope he's okay, you know?
Parents are the ones who need a timeout sometimes.
Yeah.
Right? Like you need to just take a deep breath, go in another room, settle, and then you can come at it in a different way.
Yeah.
The idea is sort of, as he gets older, ignore behaviors you want to get rid of, give attention to ones you want to keep.
When tantrums happen, it can cause other emotions between us, and all of a sudden, you know, more me. But like it's you know what I mean? Like the arguments start to happen, and then we're like, why are we all yelling at each other?
Yeah, it's like why are we don't hate each other?
You know,
like what's going on here?
How does one handle all of that when everything's going wrong, if you will, you know?
Marital advice right off the bat. There you go.
This happens all the time in my house. It's the kid, and then, you know, the soup is stirred and the emotions start. There's an argument. It's difficult to manage that. Now, you have a wonderful, wonderful marriage, and you guys never argue. How do you do it?
Never, right. Your wife is always right. You know that rule. I just learned that. We've been together for over 20 years, so the parents taking a time out, taking a deep breath, sometimes de-escalating can be helpful.
Yay! There we go.
You can parent different ways. Dads can parent differently than moms, and that's totally normal, and they're both right. Yeah. And I think keeping the relationship, scheduling date nights, doing things outside the parenting world so that you feel that you're in your relationship too.
To have these moments where you guys could connect as a couple definitely help.
So Friday nights we just go to his house. So if you guys want to come over,
we're there.
No kids, and that just
we'll be there.
The kids are going to be okay. Yeah. It's hard to mess them up. I mean, look, you had 2 kids.
If I could do it, anybody can.
That's it. I say the same thing.
For more stories like these and live coverage of breaking news 24/7, stream us right here on CBS News. I'm Michelle Miller. Thank you for watching Eye on America.
Sponsored by United Healthcare Medicare Plans. Get Medicare with more.